I finally understand what Martin Scorsese meant when he said that he thought superhero movies were made for, like, amusement park people. They were essentially rides at an amusement park. Not real movies, but just sort of things to stimulate the simple minds of general audiences. I think he was actually wrong, though. You should have been talking about these Godzilla movies, because I just got to see Godzilla x Kong, A New Empire, and I did not like it at all. Now, I want a preference before I really get into this. I don't like any of these movies. I don't like any of the Godzilla movies, from the original 2014 movie to any of the ones that they've made since. But if you're looking for someone to just tell you that this movie's great and you love these movies, I'm not the guy. Godzilla x Kong: A New Empire is a sequel to Godzilla vs. Kong, and the brand new film in this new saga of Godzilla movies that we've been getting since 2014. It's essentially a movie that's about Godzilla and King Kong in this new world where they have a new bad guy to fight, this big red gorilla thing. That's the movie. If you've seen the trailer, you've pretty much seen the movie, except for the entirety of the fights, but that's pretty much it. The movie does follow a cast of human characters that are very uninteresting. I will give it credit a little bit, because a lot of the previous Godzilla movies, one of their biggest problems is the fact that the human characters were so unbearable and so dramatic that it just became a slog. It became very boring. And don't get me wrong, this movie's really boring too, and I'll get into the reasons as to why, but at least the human characters in this movie are a little bit more fun. I specifically like the guy that was sort of like the big, Titan veterinarian. He was kind of funny. I enjoyed him. There are moments of the human characters that are funny, and then moments that are really dramatic and boring and terrible, and the overall story going on with the kids, this family story, this mother-daughter story, is just not good at all, and is never more interesting than what's going on with the monsters, and that in itself is also not very interesting. I will say the daughter, the little girl, atrocious. Not the actress, she's fine, it's not her fault, but the writing and what they do with the character, not very good. And it's just everything with the human stuff, it will put you to sleep. And if you're going to defend it and say, hey, the human stuff is pretty good, go watch Godzilla -1, see how you're supposed to do human stuff in a big disaster-esque monster movie like this, and then come back to me. Now, how are the actual monsters? Godzilla, nothing burger. He's in this movie just to sell tickets. He does absolutely nothing in this movie. He's just this big walking, talking tank that just has no other purpose to him, alright? Kong, I'll give him credit, they did a decent job with Kong. Kong, actually, the animation and the CGI on his face is interesting. And there's a scene earlier in the film where he's fighting 3 other gorilla things, and it's a very emotional scene. It's the best scene in the entire universe, in my opinion. They do a lot with Kong's face, with his actions in the fight. They tell a story within the fight. It was art, it was cinema. But, yeah, outside of that, not really much to talk about. What about the villains? What about the bad guys? Well, if you've watched the trailer, you know it's this big red gorilla thing, and he's bad. And that's it. That's pretty much it. And they have a big, gigantic fight in, like, Egypt or something, and I don't really remember. I kind of fell asleep in the second act of this, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. Only for, like, 10 minutes. Godzilla vs. Kong, I slept through, like, a full hour of that movie. This one, only about 10 minutes, I dozed off. And then I woke up. I missed nothing. If you've seen the trailer, just show up at the third act of this movie. You will miss nothing. Now, how's the action? How is it when these big CGI monsters fight? Listen, if you love that kind of stuff, you're gonna love this. I've spent the last 20 years of my life watching movies that have gigantic CGI final fights, gigantic CGI characters, and all that stuff. I'm tired of this shit. It doesn't hit the same itch for me anymore. It doesn't hit at all for me. I don't enjoy this type of stuff. I think it's actually, in a way, the most boring filmmaking in the world, because there's nothing innovative about it, there's nothing interesting about it. I don't care if it's 2 gigantic CGI monkeys, a gigantic CGI dragon, I don't give a shit what it is. There's just no way for me to get invested or interested in those characters when there's nothing behind it. There's no plot, there's nothing interesting, there's no consequences. They destroy and cripple entire cities. The third act, 100,000 people at least 100, maybe even 200,000 people were killed in the third act of this movie. And nobody mentions it, and nobody cares. Instead, they celebrate. They're like, woohoo, let's go! Like, there's no consequences to any of the actions committed by anything, any monster, any human. Things just happen. And I feel like Shiv at the end of Succession.
That's what we've done. Nothing happens.
Things do happen.
I remember when people trashed Man of Steel in 2013 because they said, wow, they crippled an entire city and didn't even really, mention anything about it. Well, if you get mad at this, how do you not get mad at this? Whatever. This movie's like the AEW of movies. It's one of those things, we just get these awesome, great matches with no storytelling, and everybody's like, why is this failing? Why do people hate this? Well, because you don't tell stories! Compare this to Godzilla -1. That movie understood, and it should have been a wake-up call for Hollywood and this new sort of wave of these Godzilla films. It should have been a wake-up note to say, hey, This is how these films should be made. A very, very small budget. We made Godzilla terrifying. We made him not a big CGI fun monster, but this terrifying force of nature that has no real story behind him methodically. It's really the story of these characters, and they told a story that would have worked even if you took Godzilla out of the movie. It was a very personal, small story about this people, this group of people that just wanted to stop the destruction that was happening around them because Godzilla kept trashing their home. Simple, beautiful, amazing, awesome score. This, none of that. This is big CGI monstrosities punching each other, which I guess for some people is really cool and really awesome. I've seen way too much of it. If you've seen any superhero movie, any other Godzilla movie they've made, you've already seen what this movie has to offer. There are no surprises. All of the big twists in the story, all of the big moments that could have been cool, like Kong getting a fucking infinity gauntlet, like Godzilla turning pink, those are moments that could have been awesome and could have been really cool, but they're watered down because they put them in the trailer. They show you in the trailer that these things happen. They show you the villain in the trailer. They reveal it all to you, which is why I say, if you really, really want to see this movie, what I recommend you doing is buying a ticket, seeing the runtime, seeing how long the movie is, alright? Wait about an hour and a half, and then go into the movie theater. You will miss nothing, you will skip all the boring nonsense, all the bullshit, and you'll get your dose of absolute monstrosity CGI just getting thrown on the screen and emptiness. You'll get it if that's your itch. If you're one of those people that's like, I like big monkey, fight big dinosaur, those my movies. And you'll really like this movie. You'll like at least the third act, and maybe you'll eat up the first couple acts of boring nonsense as well. I hate these movies, and I'm sorry if I'm coming off a little angry. I've recorded this video 2 times now, and both times my mic was not on. I'm a little pissed, so I'm bringing a little more negative energy than I would usually bring into this, but I hate these movies. I hate these franchises. I hate this franchise specifically. I just think all of these movies are nothing burgers that are made with one purpose and one purpose only, and that's to bring in as much money as possible, to maximize how much general audiences will at least come and shut their brains off and go, big monsters, oh, I love it, just so they can make their money back. I think these movies offer nothing. They're not creative. They're not innovative. They don't even attempt to tell an interesting story. At least this one tried to be a little more fun than some of the previous ones. I'll give it credit. But visually, it just wasn't interesting. I think a lot of the work done with the CGI on Kong was good. So good job, CGI people. You did good with something. And you made one scene of the movie amazing. But this whole movie just felt like big studio empty nonsense that is going to appease a general audience. And I'm sure it'll make some money. And I'm sure they'll make a couple more of these. But spoiler alert, the day's gonna come where people get sick of these movies and the franchise is gonna die, because people are gonna realize what a lot of people are already realizing right now, at least critics, that this is nonsense, and these movies need to be better, and audiences should be demanding better. But all of you fools are gonna go see this, you're gonna shut your brains off, you're gonna go, oh, monkeys, Godzilla suplexed a monkey, oh, boo, 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 boo. Like, fuck you. You guys stop giving money to garbage like this, because they'll keep making bad movies. You should be calling for better movies, not worse movies. That's what happened with comic book movies. For years, they got away with making bad movies because you guys were just like, oh, superheroes, money. Like, no! You guys let Captain Marvel make $1 billion. Like, what the fuck? And finally, people woke up and they said, we're gonna stop giving them our money if they're not gonna give us good content. And guess what? Now they're gonna start making good movies because they have to make their money. I hate Godzilla x Kong. I really just don't like any of these movies. I hope this franchise ends. It's probably not gonna end. I made a whole video talking about franchises that should end. Go check that out. But overall, I'm going to give this movie a 1.5 out of 5. It's not a 1. Listen, it's not The Rise of Skywalker. This movie didn't leave me offended. It just left me never wanting to watch another one of these movies again, which is why I will be seeing the next one when it comes out, so I can make a video about it. So, yeah. Mission accomplished. You guys did it. You got my money for at least one more. What do you guys think about this franchise? How much do you guys love it? I'm sure I made fun of some of you. I'm sure not all of you love these movies, but if you do, I'm sorry for making fun of you. But let me know what you think. Give me a like down below. Give me a subscribe, whatever, all that nonsense. Hit notifications. Click the video on your screen right now. I'll see you guys in the next one.